If people don't want to invite their friends to your church, then they won't.
But let's assume that your people in your church do want to invite people to your church. There's just a few things that might make that difficult for them, that might be obstacles in the way. How do you empower the personal invite to be as effective and powerful and easy as possible?
That's exactly what we want to talk about today, is maximizing the personal invite. Such a super important topic.
And if you think through that, what has to happen when someone wants to invite their friend to your church? They're going to have to be in conversation with that friend, and they're going to have to say, hey, you should come to my church. It's such and such church. It's at such and such time. It's at such and such location. There's a lot of information that has to cross the gap there for them to actually take that invitation and respond to it. And so one of the easiest and simplest ways to empower that personal invite is simply to have an invite card. That may seem obvious, but we've seen a certain kind of card that works better than others. You might be tempted to think like, oh, I want that invite card to be big. And there's some psychology to that. The bigger thing actually does make a bigger impact in your brain, but it doesn't work if your people don't have those cards with them because it was too big to fit in their pocket.
It doesn't have to be very big to be too big to fit in their pocket. Maybe not even pocket. I would even say further, like wallet, or I'm gonna go ahead and put this in a certain pouch in my purse. Like, for me, it's the business card size invite because it will fit in my wallet, it would fit in yours, it would fit in my wife's, it would fit in anyone who might be attending. And what's important about that is that then it's handy when the conversation happens in the grocery store or at work or at the gym or at a friend's house, and all of a sudden they start kind of talking about being interested in attending church or what's going on at church. And they can say, hey, in fact, here's an invite, you would be welcome.
Yeah, it just makes that conversation way less awkward when they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this at church. Hey, you should come, here's a card. And then they don't have to keep talking about it to explain all of the ins and outs. And if it is, in fact, business card size, then not only does your person have that with them, maybe they've got a few in their wallet, now they hand it to their invitee, who doesn't have to hold it and carry it around with them now because it's too big to put in their pocket. They can put it in their pocket and take it out at the end of the day. Maybe it winds up on their nightstand, and they keep seeing it up until Sunday, where they might actually respond to it. They keep seeing it like, oh yeah, I said I would come, and here's the info.
The truth is, it should have a landing page or a website address on there because they're gonna go there first no matter what. That's a whole nother video about the importance of a very clear website that's really designed with that user in mind, meaning the person who's been invited, and making it to where that convert. We've taught on that before. Sometimes for events though, people want a little bit bigger. They want a ticket size. And I want to give you another tool that I think is a great idea. We've seen it work. Not a lot of people doing it, I don't think, right now. And that is taking a postcard, having a postcard for that event, whatever it is, Easter, sermon series, summertime, Christmas, whatever you've got going on, design a postcard for it, have it to where it could be, it's a legal postcard back to where it can have the right form, the right amount of blank space for the stamp, for the address, and for all of that, and then hand them out to your people, unaddressed, unwritten, for them to stamp, address, and write a personal invite to a friend who should come and attend that outreach.
There's so many beautiful things about this. For one, it's a personal invite and carries all of that power. And we've seen it work really powerfully. You give that to your people, they send it to people, and they will come to that Easter event or whatever it is because of that personal connection. But it's also, people want to do a big mailer, and that is expensive.
Very.
And it takes a lot of time. In fact, if you're watching this right now thinking, how do I promote for Easter? Well, you're out of time if you want to do a mailer. There's still time to do a personal invite postcard. All you have to do is, maybe it has your design on one side, the other side is just blank for someone to write in that message.
Yeah, and you could offer to pay for the stamp if you really wanted to get, if you had budget to spend on the marketing of it. I think it's 10 cents. So it's a lot cheaper to send a postcard than it is a full letter, or it's a lot small. It's a small postcard. So here's the gold though for the personal invite, right? When you say, "Would you like to come to our church?" and the person you've said that to looks at the card, gets it in the mail, however they received it, and they say, "Oh, I've heard of you. I've heard of this. I've seen this." And that's when you know you're dialing in on like a saturation marketing branding campaign. In your community, people have seen you. We're not going through all of the ways you can create that saturation on this video today through social media and all of that, but we do want to talk about one that we have seen work, and that is the billboard. The billboard, I'd love Kirk to talk about real quick, just even some design of a billboard. It's different than the design of an invite card.
Yeah, when you do a billboard, you think of it as huge. It's not functionally. Yes, physically it is huge, but functionally it is tiny. It is a little blip that someone drives by at 60 miles an hour. They get maybe a couple seconds to process that. But you know what? If it's on their commute, they see it, and they see it, and they see it, and they see it. And it may not register very large in their brain until they talk to that friend who says, "Yeah, come with me to such and such church." And they go, "Oh yeah, I've seen that." And what we've seen is that the major benefit of the billboard is that it empowers that personal invite. Your people will be excited, like, "Whoa, we're on a billboard."
That was really the most surprising thing for us when we were marketing a church plant that Kirk and I started, that when we bought a digital billboard, which meant we could change it out as many times as we wanted. And it played with one of 8. It was one of 8 in a rotation. And we had such great response from that. But the response wasn't just a throng of people coming into the service. This response shocked me, and it was our people got so excited because we were legitimate. We were on a billboard. "Oh, I saw your billboard, And then when that empowered them, they got excited because they could see it. Then they started taking those invite cards that we had printed and putting them in their wallet, and they started writing the postcards, and they started taking around the postcards to area businesses and those invites. And what was said when they would invite them was, "Oh, I've seen you guys. Where have I seen?" They couldn't remember where they saw them, but we've seen you before. And that was because of that digital billboard.
And that's a marketing principle, right? People have to encounter you and your brand and your marketing multiple times before they're ready to make a decision. That number of times is different for different people and different contexts, but this just increases that level.
But again, advertisement is only going to highlight what's already happening at your church. If your people don't want to invite your friends, you could have the best looking billboard and the best looking cards, and they're still not going to invite their friends. But advertisement can create a good marketing campaign, which is different than just paid advertisement. Again, another video for that. But a good campaign is really just building a great platform for that word of mouth. You're never going to get away from word of mouth. Word of mouth is still going to be the most powerful way. But you as a leader with a little bit of budget and a little bit of strategy can create a really dynamic platform for the word of mouth that's already occurring naturally. One of the ways, for those invites, we mentioned handing out the postcards, is also getting into the habit of handing out those invites after service. We would have people standing at the doors as you walk out. Here's the next sermon series. There's an invite card design, business card. You can put it in your wallet. And some people would say, "Man, you're throwing away a couple hundred of those." We're like, it costs us like $40 to print 1,000. It costs us like $70 to print 2,500. Like, I'll throw away a couple hundred that you don't hand out just to also create the culture that says to attend here is to invite other people to attend here. But you can't do that just by pushing ads or pushing marketing. One thing that we would do is plan wow factors. So that's what we called them, was wow factors. Just something in the series or in the service every single week that would just create intrigue, just be maybe somewhat unexpected, or create that wow moment for the service.
And it doesn't have to be a big deal. We've talked about this before. Like I always talk about the Strange Donut Sunday. And next week, come back and we'll have strange donuts, bacon maple flavored donuts. And that is just enough to help push someone in that invite context. They're talking to their friend, they want to invite them, but now they've got this extra thing they can throw in the mix. Oh, come on, we're gonna have bacon maple donuts next Sunday. You should come and try one.
When you create intriguing things like that maybe haven't been done in other churches, whether it's donuts or a different music. And when I say different music, I know churches have done special music. We weren't the ones who came up with that idea. But maybe it was a secular song done with some scripture overlaid or something. We've done that, right? We did a Doors series where we had break on through to the other side. And what it does, though, by creating whatever it was, it creates something else to talk about with their friends other than just, you should come and see church. It was, my church. It just gives people something else to talk about. Man, we watched this video. We had donuts. We did this one song that you would never think it would be good in a church, but boy, it was. And it just sets your church, sets your ministry apart from maybe others, apart from what other people think would be happening in church. And then when that person who's talking about it happens to have that business card size invite card, the conversation just naturally happens. And what you've done then is you've naturally built a platform for that word of mouth advertising to be super effective.
Listen, we know that this was a handful of ideas. Some of them maybe you're already using. Maybe you've got other great ideas that the whole church needs to know about. Guys, would you please let us know? What are you doing to empower the personal invite? How are you empowering your people to go invite their friends? We'd love to hear all about it.
Love it. Thanks.